All right, what's up there, YouTube? Okay, so today I was going to talk to you guys about the things that are important when it comes to shooting the video. Now, I want to talk about the new Canon cameras, the new Nikon camera, the Z50, the new Z6S, the Z6S that's supposedly coming out, Z7S, Z8, any of these new camera bodies. And I want to, this is a conversation that I think is long overdue, because I think everybody tends to gravitate towards the newest and greatest camera. What got me thinking about this was actually my phone. The whole reason why I wanted to make this video was because my last video was a wedding teaser trailer that I made. And I used a few clips from this LG V60, my LG V60 Thin Q. I used some clips from it. The camera on this phone shoots 4K at 60p, which is more than the Z6, and it's more than the Z7. I mean, it's more than a lot of professional DSLR cameras that are, whatever, mirrorless cameras. 4K at 60. This shoots 8K video. This thing can shoot 8K. That's what the new Canon, what is it, the R5 and R6 are supposed to, they shoot 8K RAW or something like that for like 30 minutes and then they overheat, or 20 minutes and then they overheat. And it's not that they overheat. That's not the problem. The problem is if you let it set for 10 minutes, you can only shoot for 3 more minutes after it overheated. I know this is another thing, but it's not just in 8K, it's also in 4K. So they have the problem in 4K. It's like they put the cart before the horse just to say, hey, we've got a camera that does this. Our last camera didn't have all the features, it was crippled. So this one isn't crippled, but we made the body small so that you can carry it around. We didn't make it big and put vents in it so that it could actually be used professionally. Not that you can't use the camera professionally. Let me get this straight. I would shoot with those cameras in 4K at the not the highest quality setting, the one down that actually does pixel binning or whatever it is that they do for a wedding, and it shoots like in 30-minute increments, unlimited, so you can just keep shooting. It doesn't overheat. It only overheats in the high quality 4K mode. See, I'm getting into the weeds real quick here. So let me explain. This phone shoots 8K video, and it's a phone. And the footage from this phone is fantastic. I mean, and from the newest S10 Plus. So I've already got a device in my pocket that shoots 8K video. It shoots 4K at 60p. It shoots 1080 at 120 or something like that. I don't know. I don't pay attention to all that. But it's about the story. These things need to be all about the story. It's the story you're trying to tell, more than what equipment you're using to tell the story. So in other words, I saw a speech one time by a guy, and I became friends with him, and we talked quite a bit when I was a member of several videographer groups in Atlanta, at Showcase Photo and Video in Atlanta, which I don't know if they're still open or not, but anyway, we had a videographers club meeting down in the basement thing that they used to do once every 3 months or 6 months or something. Anyway, this guy came in and he was talking about how he got a job shooting for Home Depot, shooting commercials for Home Depot. And what happened was, he was just going to apply for it, but he had a demo reel and all that stuff. And he knew that they'd probably seen tons of demo reels of all these companies. So he went into the meeting and he said, I'm going to show you something that you haven't seen in any, in the interview, that you haven't seen in any demo reel. If you give me 1 hour or whatever amount of time to go, and I'll come right back. Where's the closest Home Depot? Where's your closest actual store? and they told him, and he said, I'm going to go there and I'll be back. I'm going to shoot a commercial for you on my iPhone. He had an iPhone at the time, not an Android. So they were like, what? He goes, I'm going to shoot a commercial for you on my iPhone and edit it for you and bring it back. So he went to the store and he took his iPhone out and he shot different shots of the, angles and a bunch of different angles. He had people looking at products and he had different stuff and different music and people smiling coming out of the store and just all these different little shots. And he edited it all on his phone and brought it back and said, here you go, here's your commercial with music and titles and everything. And they could not believe it. They hired him on the spot because it wasn't about the tools. It's not about the phone. It's not about the lens. It's not about the camera, right? So with that said, would it be easier to shoot a wedding or an event on a phone or on a dedicated camera? Obviously on a dedicated camera. Short clips were fine. I shot short clips of the bride and groom walking at 4K 60p and then I slowed it down in post and it looks fantastic. It goes right in there, but I could not stand there and hold this phone and have the possible overheating issues and stuff like that. Cell phones will overheat and the batteries don't last as long and you can't change out the battery. You have to plug it in to charge it and all that stuff. So that's where this comes into play when you're shooting with an actual camera that can shoot the extended lengths. Also, ND filters. I use an ND filter on this because I'm shooting outside and I want to drop the shutter speed. I want to keep the shutter speed. Whoa! I almost broke that off. So this is just an ND4. I don't want to give it too much ND because most of the time with this, when I have this on, what I'm shooting is glide cam footage with the other tool that is better to have than the other, than just the camera. So more importantly than the body is the lens. The lens is more important than the body. Let's put it in a list. So you got body has to be able to capture the footage, but all the bodies over the past, say 3 or 4 years, can capture fantastic. This is a full frame camera, captures fantastic full frame 4K footage. That's like right at the limit of what you should get, right? 4K full frame. That's what you're shooting for. Not that that's what you have to have, but that is like you're at the level of 99.9% of people with TVs that are purchasing TVs from Walmart, and half the time they're watching HD upscaled footage on it anyway. So you're already a step up shooting 4K on a full frame camera. So after the body, then the important stuff comes. So the body's important. Not that the body's not important, but if Nikon comes out with this same body and it's basically the exact same body, but all it adds is 8K RAW, and it can shoot 8K RAW, I wouldn't buy it. If all they changed was they said, oh, we're going to give you 2 card slots in 8K RAW, I'm not buying the camera for 2 card slots in 8K RAW. I'm just not going to do it because I don't need the 8K RAW because 4K is fine for me. Now, is that going to be the same thing in 2 or 3 years from now when everybody has 8K TVs? No. You'll probably be able to see the difference between 4K and 8K when there's tons of 8K content and 8K TVs are out and it's like a commonplace to have an 8K TV. Then you'll see it. But will the upscalers from 4K to 8K be good enough for an 8K, for this camera to still make beautiful pictures and beautiful videos? Probably. It'll probably be just fine. But by that time, they'll have the Z9S or something like that. They'll have something that's like 2 generations ahead of this one that has, way more features and way more stuff and way better autofocus and all that other stuff. But the important thing is the lens is going to be the same. This is a new mount. The lens is going to be the same. So what's more important than just the body is the lens. It's the whole thing, the whole ecosystem. I found that the greatest improvement to my videos was buying a better lens. So in other words, right now I'm shooting on the 85 1.8. I'm shooting at f4, I think, or whatever, because I stepped it up a little. I stepped it down a little bit because it's bright out here. I put an ND filter on it, but I didn't want it to overly do it, and I needed my face to have some light on it, so I raised it up. But anyway, but that lens, the footage that I got shooting a wedding from that lens was amazing. It's absolutely amazing, and the autofocus worked amazing, and the quality of the footage looks amazing. Just everything is amazing on that with that lens. That's been the best investment I made for my Z series cameras so far, was the lens. This is the 24-70, which came as a kit lens. This thing is awesome also. It's an f4, so it's not, you know, it doesn't step down as low, so it's not as good in low light. But let me tell you, I would like to have like a wider lens for low light, but this lens on this gimbal, the support you have for your cameras is also huge. So that lens, that Nikon lens at f4 on this is like magic. I can shoot inside. It's plenty of, you know, because you can raise the ISO so high on those that it still shoots fantastic footage. But this thing here is basically a game changer. It gets the beautiful, absolutely unbelievably stunning shots from that camera, and it looks better than the 8K on the phone. It does. When you're looking side by side, the footage from the Nikon Z6 looks better than the footage from the phone. But the phone works in a pinch. So if you had to use something, if you have nothing, use the phone, right? But this thing here makes it where that is like, it's the ridiculously smooth shots. I say ridiculous a lot, but it's the extremely smooth shots. So this is, to me, is more important than a new body, right? This to me is more important. I would rather have this than the new Canon body, since I already have the Nikon. So if you're shopping for a new camera, right? If you're shopping for a new camera, the new Canon is, you know, $3,000 or whatever, right? It's $3,000 for this. You know, and the Z6 has come down in price, and the firmware upgraded and makes the autofocus way better on the Z6 than it was before. So is it as good as the Canon? Probably not, but it's really good. The image quality is fantastic. Everything is fantastic. It's a great system. There's tons of there's a lot of lenses now. I'm still waiting for them to come out with the 70-200 2.8. That's the one I'll probably buy that lens. I'll save up and buy that lens for $2,000 or whatever it is, because it's worth having. But even if you didn't, the adapted lenses. Peter Gregg did a video. You know, the guy that does from Miami, that does his Christmas video. He's in the Christmas room, the older guy with the glasses. He did a video, and I posted it. I was looking at it today, and this is another thing that got me thinking about the cameras and the lenses and everything. Was he made a video a few months ago about the Z6 with the new 3.0 firmware, and it was focusing as fast or faster and smoother than the Sony. And recently, Camera Conspiracies has been coming out with videos of the Z50 that he wrote off the Z6 because the audio wasn't as good and stuff like that, and the autofocus wasn't very good, but the autofocus has improved. So he got a Z50, the new Z50, the company sent it to him, said, hey, you should really try this camera. I don't think you're giving it a fair shake. And he's tried it. He's like, man, this thing is fantastic. It's half or a third of the price of the Fuji, and the auto exposure is unbelievable on it, and the autofocus is incredible. It's staying focused on him. He's walking through the back little pathway where the FT4, the Fuji, is going in and out of focus, and his face is all dark, and the Nikon is just sticking on him, and it's looking perfect, and it's staying focused, and the exposure's ramping smoothly up and down. It's a fantastic camera. Nikon's not playing around. I shot a wedding on the two Z6s just a couple weeks ago, and if I was shooting with the Canon R5 and R6, I couldn't do it. Now I could shoot photos with them, but I couldn't shoot the video that I shot a couple weeks ago on these two cameras with the Z6, with the R5 and R6, because they overheat. They overheat in 4K, high quality. They say they don't overheat. They don't have the overheating problem at room temperature at regular 4K, but I wouldn't trust it. I couldn't trust it. I shot on a beach in Florida. I don't know if you know, this is not room temperature. It's 90 something degrees out here. The wedding was at like 3 p.m. on the beach, middle of the afternoon, hot. It cooled off as the wedding went on, and it got cooler at around 5. But you're talking about like a 2 hour time limit. The ceremony wasn't 2 hours. Now people are like, well, the ceremony's not 2 hours. You're right, the ceremony's not. But I had two Z6s, one on a tripod. I had to start recordings to get the groom coming in, and I got the other one. The other Z6 was on this. So I'm walking around with this, with the Z6, the Moza Air gimbal, because it shoots ridiculous. It makes it awesome, makes it smooth. With the Z6 and the 24-70 at f4 with an ND filter on the front, so that it blurs the background out. So I keep it at f4, so it makes it look really, really clear and pretty. So I'm shooting that camera on the gimbal, and I'm getting them as they come in, but I had to set the other camera up on the tripod like 15-20 minutes beforehand, sitting in direct sunlight on the beach in 90-degree weather, hit record, start recording, grab the other camera on the gimbal, hit record, start getting them coming in and stuff. Now the other one's ran for 30 minutes. I walked over, checked it, restarted it again, record for another 30 minutes. So the ceremony itself might have been 20 minutes long, but I had to start, 30 minutes before that and start recording when they came in, and when they said, when everybody came in, and then when the ceremony ended and they left, then I could go over and hit the button and stop recording again. So I might have recorded 40 minutes total. So 40 minutes. If I'm shooting with the Canon R5 and R6 in 4K, highest quality, which is why you would buy the camera, 4K highest quality, or 8K, if that's what you're really into. I got it on my phone and I don't use it. But if you want to shoot 8K, you can. But you're shooting 4K highest quality on the R5 and R6, it overheats at room temperature in 25-30 minutes. So it can go like 30 minutes, then it'll overheat. And that's not the biggest issue, because the files on these go 30 minutes and then they restart. You have to restart the camera. That's not the biggest issue. The biggest issue is I can hit record again and restart the camera and record for another 30 minutes. So I record for about 25 minutes or so. I walk over, stop recording, start recording, and then go back over and continue shooting on the gimbal. So I record 20 minutes and 20 minutes, 40 minutes total. You can't do that. The camera will overheat on the Canon, and then you have to wait 10 minutes, and then you can record for 3 more minutes. That's not enough. Even if it recorded for 5 or 10 more minutes, that's not enough. It's going to turn off. It's going to overheat and turn off again. Indirect sunlight, that's at room temperature. Indirect sunlight, it's probably even faster. It might record for 15, 20 minutes and then turn off. And then you got to wait, 30 minutes and then hit record again, or 20 minutes and hit record again. You don't have time to wait for 30 minutes and start recording again. Everybody jumping on this bandwagon to get out there and get the latest and greatest camera, they would probably be better time and effort spending their money on lenses, ND filters, support like gimbals, stabilizers, better audio. Get your audio right first. You know, there's so many, I see so many videos where the video looks good and the audio is not very good. I bought a purple Panda, and this microphone's fantastic. I'll give you a link in the description below to the little Sony recorder that's in my pocket right now, and the purple Panda that's recording my voice right now, and it sounds fantastic. It's under my shirt. The little microphone is under my shirt. It comes with a little microphone. This thing is fantastic. I love this microphone. It sounds so good. I mean, what do you guys think? Does my voice sound good on this video? Because it's recording with the little purple Panda under my shirt right here because it's a little windy out here. My whole point to this video was I wanted to have a little discussion with you guys about stuff. And I think you'd be better off if I had $3,000 to spend on a camera, right? And I was going to spend $3 grand on a camera today. I would not, or $3,500. I would not buy the latest Canon. I would not buy if Nikon came out with the Z6S unless that thing had a bunch of really cool features that I really wanted, and dual card slots, and something that I really thought would help my video be better, which I don't know what it would, because like the autofocus could be better. So they've improved the firmware on these things, and they've improved the cameras, the existing cameras. So this camera and body, I paid like $2,500 for this thing. And you can pick one up for like, I think it's like $1,700 or $1,800. You can't beat that. For $3 grand, you could buy 2 of these. You could have 2 cameras. You could have a backup. So not only can you shoot for longer than 15 or 20 minutes in direct sunlight in the summer. I'm in Florida, so to me that's a pretty big deal. But you can shoot it twice. You could have 2 cameras shooting it. Right? You could even get the little FTZ adapter and pick up some cheaper Nikon glass and use the FTZ adapter, and that works fantastic. Peter Gregg's video, he was shooting with I think the 51.2 or something like that on the FTZ adapter, and it was focusing smoothly. The aperture was working perfect. It was fantastic. So gone are the times when you needed to buy the latest camera because they weren't, you needed to have that extra feature. I mean, yeah, the extra features are great, but as long as you have a full frame camera shooting 4K where it gets nice blurred background and it's focusing great and all that kind of stuff, you don't really need all that extra stuff. You're better off spending your money on other things like gimbals and stuff like that. Another thing that I found was really cool that I got that was this little GoPro Hero Fusion. This GoPro Fusion, the little 360 camera. Now this thing, what's cool about it is it captures everything. So I picked this up. This is a Rilo. I bought the Rilo first, and it wasn't very good. It was the software was really bad. The footage was good, but the software it didn't work worth a dang, and it only worked on my phone, and there was no desktop software. So I need desktop software. So the GoPro uses the desktop software, and you have to stitch it, but my computer's real fast. It stitches it almost instantaneously. It's a super fast computer, so I have no issues with it. If you have a slower computer you're trying to do on a laptop, you probably want to get like one of the other 360 cameras. But what's cool is they shoot everything. So I jumped in the pool with it, and you know, it's waterproof. You can just jump right in the pool, or like different shots. You can get different stuff with this that you can't get with a camera. Well, you can, but this thing captures everything. So I got some shots with this that's like action shots and stuff like that, and the stabilization is really good walking around with it if you're in a pinch. So I pick up anything. I try anything, because to me, getting the shot is more important than the gear that I'm using. Right? So getting the shot is more important than the gear I'm using. So as long as the gear can get the shot, if the camera's overheating, it's not getting the shot. It's just not. If that thing was overheating, I wouldn't use it. I'd be like, I can't use it. It's overheating and it doesn't get the shot. It was one of the big issues with the Sony cameras when they first came out, was they were overheating. They had overheating issues. Can't have that. You got to be able to shoot longer than 30 minutes. you know. And you say, well, yeah, you can start and restop, but like I said, you can't really. You have to wait a while for the thing to cool down before you can start shooting again. Anyway, that was basically the video I wanted to have with you guys today. It was just a little discussion between me and you. What do you guys think? You guys think that you're better off spending, if you got $3,500 to spend on a camera, you want to buy the latest and greatest Canon that shoots 8K for 20 minutes and then you have to wait for it to cool down, you know, or is 8K that important to you? I mean, not today, but like in a couple of years it will be, but in a couple of years they'll have more cameras with firmware updates that will drop in price, and just buy that when it comes out. So it's already tried and tested and true. Yeah, I jumped on the Nikon bandwagon early because I was already shooting with Nikon cameras. I already had Nikon lenses. I already had Nikon batteries. I already had all the stuff for Nikons. So I see that, but there's already a mirrorless Canon camera that shoots 4K video and does a really good job with dual pixel autofocus. So there's already stuff that they have that are, yeah, they got the cripple hammer. Anyway, I put the cripple hammer in there. What's he doing here? Get out of here. Why? You're not supposed to be here. You're on his page. Get off of my, go back to his, go back to his page. I mean, you know, if you want to overheat. Go! Anyway, so with that note, I'm out of here, YouTube. All right. Anyway, get what you want, but I'm just giving you my advice. You know, invest your money in lenses and stabilizers and stuff like that, because you can shoot all this stuff with almost anything you have, including a phone, basically. Depends on what you're doing. So, you know, if you want to vlog, check out the Z50 Camera Conspiracies with the cripple hammer. He is actually really liking the camera that he's got. He's raving about it. So, you know, give it another shot. Anyway, I'm out, YouTube. Take it easy. Have a good day.